Hi, everyone. I'm Rob Schmidt, and by now, I hope you have all heard that my former employer for 10 plus years, the Los Angeles Unified School District, where I worked as a full-time substitute for over 10 years, has this insane idea that they're going to buy iPads for $640,000 of their students. Now, I keep listening to that, and I keep hearing people like Beverly Lane, who was on Peter Tilton's radio show on KBC in the last month or two, talk about this price at $700 per iPad, so I decided to do a little basic research. It's called a Google search to find out what kind of a price range we would really be talking about. So according to Google, the cheapest iPad I could find was $189.95 per phone, not including tax. If you multiply that by 640,000 students, you're coming up with a grand total cost of $121,568,000, not including tax. That's the low end. On the high end, on Google, the most expensive iPad I found was $519.99. So where Miss Lane and other school board officials are coming up with the $700, I have no idea. But if you take the 519, multiply that by 640,000 students, you come up with a combined total cost of $332,793,600, not including taxes, to equip each student with its own iPad. And having been to most of these schools, every school I went to already has its own computer lab, and realistically, for less than 5% of the cost, maybe even less than 1%, you can equip these computer labs. If they're outdated, you can build, revamp them so they're state-of-the-art with new iPads for less than 5%, or maybe less than 1% of the cost. And if there's a school that I've missed that actually doesn't already have a computer lab, and I've been to lots of parts of the ghetto, I've been to some of the poorest parts of LA, but if I've missed one, you can spend less than 5% of the cost that I'm talking about to build a brand new computer lab and equip it with state-of-the-art equipment, including brand new iPads. And if you use the computer lab idea I'm talking about, not only will the individual student benefit, but the computer labs, they rotate. Each class gets its own turn once a week. They will rotate classes in and out. So instead of spending $700 to make sure each kid has an iPad, you can spend a fraction of that and make sure several kids can use the same iPad by rotating in and out. They've been doing it for years with the computer. Why they can't do the same thing with the iPad? I also want to talk about a security issue I think needs to be mentioned, because if you equip these kids with iPads, a lot of these kids at third grade or even younger than that are walking home alone in the ghetto, and if the crooks know they have iPads, they're going to be mugged. You remember when Michael Jordan came out with the Air Jordan tennis shoe, how the kids would hold each other up at gunpoint to get the tennis shoes? If they're willing to do that to get tennis shoes, can you imagine what they would be willing to do with iPads? So instead of making the kids walking targets for every thief in the galaxy, you put the iPads in the computer lab, you attach them to the computer lab with a cable, just like they do at stores like Best Buy and Radio Shack. Use the cable, make sure it's secure, and it will be far easier to maintain that security than if you put them in the hands of the individual kid. Now, I know that Miss Lane claimed that at $700 a pop, they've already got it worked out that, the kids, if the phones, iPads come up lost or stolen, that they already have a provision to take care of that. And I have one simple question: how? Because if you and I were to buy an iPad, we would have a choice. You either buy the extended warranty while you buy it, or if it's lost or stolen, you replace it. On you. I guarantee you that you're not going to find an Apple, Microsoft, or any other company that makes these. You are not going to get an agreement where they keep replacing. If the kids lose 2 or 3 of them, they're not going to just simply hand these things back out to the kids without an additional cost. It simply won't happen. So again, to Miss Lane, how? We also need to take into account one other factor. Kids at this age, if they've got the iPad, if they're told that they're lost or stolen, they'll be replaced, will start to lie in order to get some extra money for it. I mean, that's human nature. And if you don't think they will, what planet are you on? So what's going to happen when the kids who are told, oh, if you lose this, we'll replace it? What happens if the kids keep saying, oh, we keep getting robbed? What happens then when instead of one iPad, you're talking about 2, 3, 4 plus? To that question, I would like to ask how. But again, instead of giving each kid an iPad, you make sure the computer labs are equipped with those. You can refurbish the computer labs if you have to for less than 5% of the cost. And if the computer lab, if the school doesn't have a computer lab, you can build a brand new one for a fraction of that cost. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one, so please share them with me in the YouTube message center. And I hope you all had a great 2014.